everybody, and welcome back to the Pittsburgh STEAM Station. I'm Miss Unger.
And I'm Miss Blake.
And we are so excited to have you joining us for another exciting episode.
Hey, Miss Unger. Have you ever noticed your shadow? You know, I've been doing some digging about shadows, and I found out that they happen because it's when an object blocks the sun or a light source. So, for example, our shadow is much longer during the winter because of the angle of the sun. And your shadow is actually longer in the morning than the afternoon. Who knew?
Well, Miss Blake, I'm so excited that you're interested in shadows. Our special guest today is here to teach us all about shadow art.
Hello, I am Mrs. Arena. I am the STEAM teacher at Stowe Rocks. Today I am going to show you a fun activity that we can do using light and some objects that you have around the house to create shadows. Before we get started, you need to gather a few materials from around the house. You will need something to write on, something to write with, and some toys or objects that you have around the house that you think might make a good shadow. Another thing you're going to need is a light source. Now, if it's a nice sunny day, this could be the sunlight outside. And if that's the case, you also might want to bring some chalk because you can make a shadow on the sidewalk too. If it's not a sunny day, because sometimes it rains around here, you can use anything from a lamp, a flashlight, your phone light, anything that's going to put a light in front of an object so that that object casts a shadow. Now that you have your materials, let's talk about what a shadow is. A shadow is a dark shape that forms when an object blocks a light source. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. We are going to take an object and a light source, and we are going to block that light source so that we have a dark shape that forms right behind it. And that's what we're going to trace. I'm going to show you some of the objects that I trace, and then I want you to try. While you're doing it, I want you to think about something. How does the light change the shape of the shadow that's created? It's going to look a lot different when you are outside than when you are inside using a controlled light source. If you're outside, your shadow might look different in the morning than it does in the evening. It depends on where the sun is and where it's shining and where your object is placed. And if you're inside using a controlled light source, you can really have fun with it. Try different ways to put your object in front of, underneath, next to the light source and see how that shadow changes. I think you might find that you have control over what that shadow looks like depending on where you're holding your light. So let's get started. The object that I am going to use today is this little stick bot. The reason I chose this object is because you can move him in a lot of different ways. He stands up and is very easy to manipulate so that I can create the type of shadow that I want. I've got my stick bot set up. Now I need the light source. Remember, depending on where the light is shining, your shadow is going to look different. So you might want to play around with it until you get your shadow just right. Once you have your light source and your object situated and you have your shadow just the way you want it to look, it's time to trace. So I've traced my little stick bot. Now if I wanted to, I could decorate him, give him a nice little face, add some details, color him in, have fun with it. You can get creative with the objects that you use. You can make different shapes out of Legos or blocks that you have. You can make towers that are different heights and see how the light changes the length. Now it's time for you to be creative with some of the things that you have around your house. Now, if you have a sunny day like today, you can bring your materials out and you can trace your shadow using the sunshine. And if you have sidewalk chalk, you can use that too. It's even fun to trace people's shadows. I have my daughter here today and I'm going to show you how I trace her shadow in the sunlight. We found the right spot for our pose and she's standing nice and still. Got my chalk? Here we go. Remember, whether you're inside or outside, there are a lot of ways to explore shadows. Just be creative and have fun.
I really learned a lot today. I'm so excited to try out some shadow art of my own. Luckily, it's the perfect sunny day outside.
Friends, it was so wonderful to have you here today at the Pittsburgh Seam Station. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Bye, makers!